So, first of all, good morning to everyone, and we would like to express our gratitude to the organizers and for everyone welcoming us here, so thank you for hospitality. And as presented, our topic today is negotiating ironic meaning on acts, and we will focus on the interplay between implicit and explicit dialogism. So, first of all, this is our outline, this is what we will discuss today. We will discuss acts, dialogism, and irony, and paradoxes, and all of that. So, let's start from the beginning. Okay, so our main argument today will be that when appearing together, verbal irony and paradoxes of failed expectations enhance and explicitate one another. And this is through their dialogical features. And this is done in order to ensure the interpretation of the ironic speaker's meaning. So this is our main claim here, and we'll go step by step. So first of all, acts, as we know from Twitter, I took here a screenshot in the right you can see from my phone. Of course, I censored the photos themselves, but you see we have photos. I'm going on the fact that you are familiar with the app, but if not, so this is it. With the username, the caption, you can show photos, likes, and etc., etc. And so the main thing that I want to talk about is the affordances of the platform. When we're talking about affordances, we're talking about the action possibilities. What the platform allows us to do and what it limits us. We can say that it's a multifaceted relational structure between the object or technology and the user. And as we said, it allows us to do certain stuff, but it's also limiting us from doing certain other things. And the key affordances on X, for example, can be multimodality. As I said, you can share pictures, videos, links to other websites, etc. And for example, we can say that we have the option to tag people, to mention specific people, accounts, pages, and of course we can use hashtags, which is the most popular thing on X, and we'll see how this comes to play further on. And of course, language is inherently dialogic, as we know here, and when talking about the polyphonic texts, just as we see on X, there are different voices, there are different points that negotiate meaning. They can contradict each other, or they can even join in agreement. But this creates an overall discourse in which each voice bears an equal contribution. As I said, X facilitates this kind of polyphonic text, and meanings may be negotiated between comments and the post, between comments themselves, and commenters themselves, and even within a single comment.
Okay, so we are talking about irony. And the premise we start with is that the verbal irony is indirect. Indirect means that the speaker's meaning, or the meaning that the speaker means to convey, is different from the utterance meaning. Now, how do we go about the interpretation? The interpreter starts with text, then he matches the text with the situation. If he finds some reason, whatever reason, to assume that the speaker's meaning may be different, then we say that he uses the context as a cue. But then he has to find out what the speaker means by the irony, by the assumed irony. So he proceeds, and he uses context in order to find out what the speaker's meaning is, which means that he has to identify the ironies, the victim of irony, and the locus of irony, that is towards what the irony is directed. Now, the literature is, of course, very productive about what can trigger the interpretation of ironic meaning, which we call cues. Like we only quoted Rice and Advocate, but there are others as well, because we are going to concentrate on echoing mention. Echoing mention, which is a concept which was introduced with Elda and Weizman, and was later replaced by meta representation, means that the ironic utterance, or let's say the hearer has reasons to think, to believe that the ironic utterance echoes some other utterance, proposition, idea, thought, concept, or their interpretation. Now, once he's done that, he starts computing the meaning, and the second assumption would be that the ironic utterance is critical. It should be somehow either critical or has delineated from the speakers, etc. Obviously, you know that the most prevalent marker of irony in text is the use of quotations, of quotation marks, and it's not arbitrary. This is because the most explicit way to echo an utterance would be direct speech. So quotations are borrowed from direct speech into the context of irony. And here, the more partial the quotation is, the more likely it is used to convey the adversary's attitude. The less partial it is, the more it reminds us of direct speech, the less it is erroneous. So we focus on the analysis of single words in quotation marks, but of course irony is all over the place. It's not only about this word. So, echo mentioned is by definition inherently dialogic because it contains at least two voices, the echo and the echoing. But this would be superficial to stay there. So we say also that ironic comments, for example, in public discourse, which was developed by Elda, are specifically polyphonic because they contain a complex network of echoes, some of which already contain echoes of other voices. And we should remember that those voices are not only utterances. There are also beliefs, ideologies, concepts, following. Okay? And we know that practices such as echoing are very prevalent in X due to the affordances which were described.
So, after irony, we have the paradox. And we are going to focus on the Hebrew particle dafka, which is an Hebrew-specific particle. And let's start with an example so we can all be on the same page. All the students studied for the test, except for John, and dafka, he passed the test. And dafka, as you can see on the bottom, is here indicating all students. John of all students. So dafka inherently implies counter expectations. This is the main function of the particle. But it also conventionally implicates paradoxicality, what leads us to the next stage of the discussion. And it stands for its semantic component of x of all x's. This is always, as you said, John of all students, x of all x's. This is also always the conventional literature. And then, of course, this contradicts common sense. And when we're talking about a paradox, we're talking about an idea containing two opposing thoughts, which appear contradictory. But upon close inspection, we know that it can have a different meaning when we take these two contradictory ideas together. And paradox of felt expectation specifically, there's a conflict between reality and expectation or common sense. So the dialogic nature of dafka again stems from its implicated paradoxicality because we have the two members, the expectation and the reality, which also create an implicit dialogue. Okay, so we start with the example after we have all this theoretical background. The examples are from Acts. They were written originally in Hebrew, but we are, of course, at the English translation. I'm pretty sure you can't see it on the back, so I'm going to use the magnifying tool here so we can all see it. So, better, right? Okay. So we have, this is a tweet, it's a post now, it was a tweet, there's a poll made by Weizman. Weizman is an Israeli website, and they have this photo of Trump. They say, would it be beneficial for Israel if Trump stays in the White House? You can vote with an heart emoji to say yes, and with a negative face emoji to say no. And then above this poll, they say, former White House communications director, Trump divided American society in a way that will greatly harm Israel. And then we have the post from X, and this is the original poster, and I will call him OP for short. And he says, all in all, the code above the picture does not try to influence the user's response to the poll. P.S. It did not help, most shows out. And so, So, first of all, we can say that the poll, as we mentioned, we're focusing on single votes and quotation marks. So we have the poll here, which is an echoic mention. And we're going, as we said, irony as a victim, who are we criticizing, and the locus, what are we criticizing? So, of course, the victim here can be the one editorial for posting the poll. The poster of this post on X does not believe this is a poll properly polled. It doesn't believe in the objectivity of the poll. Polls should be objective, there shouldn't be right and wrong answers. But again, if Weizman published this quote and is clearly biased towards one side, how can this really be a poll? So this is what he is criticizing. This is that. And of course, after this post, there's a discussion that starts between several commenters. We're going to focus on this exchange between commenter A and commenter B following this post. So commenter A says, okay, when the emoji is aligned with the left-wing claim according to you, you complain. But now that the emoji is dafka, meaning the opposite, you find a different problem. So commenter A criticizes, of course, the post, the original post, and the word aligned in quotation marks against single words in quotation marks. This is an echoic mention. The victim is the OP. It criticizes the OP for its, of course, attributed thought as he presented in this original post. But the chorus of bias is criticizing his attitude toward the poll and what it represents. He does not agree with him, and to the irony, he adds another layer of the paradox, the dafka, and he says, of course, the paradox here is again, OP will complain about, we expect that the OP, not we, but the commenter expect that the OP will not complain about poll results, they will in favoring political views. It says that left-wing claim, right-wing claim, and so, but in reality, OP does in fact complain about the same exact thing. There's a paradox. He shouldn't be complaining, but he does. So, commenter is criticizing OP and his words and thoughts using both paradox and irony together on top of each other. And we have, of course, continuance of the conversation. Okay. Commenter B says it's not such a problem. Just one quote that cites with one of the options right about the poll, not a big deal. So, for my tone, I suspect you believe that you understand it is being ironic here. And as we said, we want to focus only on echoic mentions on this talk. So we are saying that we know that he's being ironic, but it's not an echoic mention. James, he uses understatement, but it's not an echoic mention. So we're just being, I just want you to realize that the irony doesn't stop. The criticism doesn't stop, even if it's not echoic mention. And commenter A says to that, the poll followed the news story about and not the opposite, hashtag happy to help. Okay, thank you. Okay, so, happy to help. This is not single word quotation mark, but it is an echoic mention. Commenter B can criticize commenter A. We have this exchange between them, who's being the irony, who's being the victim. They exchange the words dynamically. And commenter B is criticizing the lack of understanding for the situation of commenter A, commenter B. And commenter A is actually echoing no, it's going like a service provider, I'm happy to help. I provided this explanation, I'm happy to help. But again, from the irony talk or the ironical tone, the ironic tone of this conversation, we are suspecting this is not exactly happy to help. And again, this criticism between them continues and continues. And commenter B, again, from this conversation, and do you think sticking a border makes sense? And commenter A, can you see it in the back, or should I magnify it again? I will magnify it again. Let me explain. They quoted the news story from today, the former White House official saying Trump arms Israel as well. Then why not pay the poll? Would it be beneficial for Israel if Trump stays in the White House or not? In spite of the report about it, what's the problem? Again, they seem to have a lack of understanding between them. One side believes one opinion, the other the opposite opinion. And they're again challenging each other and their opinions on who's right and who's wrong, or who's right and who's wrong. And so we have the final arguments of the discussion, the final post. In spite of the report about it, equals bias vote. You are being asked a question, and right in front of you appears the correct answer. Happy to help. And so, and again, we have the single quote quotation marks. Again, you see how it comes back again. Like I said, the more partial the quotation is, the more we believe it to be to express the attitude of the speaker, and in this case, this is ironic, or this is his ironic attitude, and the critique he is trying to convey. So the correct answer is focused on comment A, and again, they seem to know one of them thinks the poll is biased, one of them thinks this is not biased at all. So they have this exchange to challenge each other's opinion and to maybe to try and persuade the other to accept their opinion. And so the poll is biased again, as we said at the beginning. Polls don't have correct answers. We are surveying people to see what they believe. And so why is there a correct answer when we are only presenting one side of the equation, like why it did in the original post, which is a screenshot from Facebook. So we have layers and on layers. And of course, signs off with happy to help, which we already have. Again, the echo is very clear, happy to help. So it uses, again, this is the commenters' words to flip the switch. And it plays with the same coin. He recognizes the ironic chance of the commenter A, but he is applying it to his critical attitude and employs it to his retaliatory practice. So this is how the conversation ends. So this was one example, and again, what I wanted you to see is how both irony and paradox come together to even enhance the criticism that I are already employing here on non-stop. So this was the first example, and the second example is that one, and we will magnify. The OECD released a report in which, contrary to the outrage about the old lady in the corridor, notes with astonishment the remarkable achievements of the health system in Israel, despite no investment of public resources. And maybe it's not despite, but that kind of things. Analysis. And so again, before I start, just say the old lady in the corridor is like an autonomy in Israel. It's a coin autonomy that talks about the hospitalization condition in Israel, and people are getting treated in the corridor and not in rooms because the hospitals are so full. So this is like a coin autonomy that people in Israel know, but this is what he refers to. And so the original poster in the OP does not agree with what he believes that the OECD is the astonishment that they are referring to. Is astonishment is again, after you mentioned what he attributes to their thoughts and the wording even, and it's again, they assume surprise given the fact. Why should this be so surprising? He does not believe that. And again, to the irony, to this echo equation, he adds the paradox, the dafka, which is again, low investment should lead to failure. This is what we expect. But in reality, we see that low investment actually leads to achievement. So again, we have this contradictory terms here. I'll just say that we have these single words quotation marks, but they're not running. This is just quoting. It doesn't have an attitude towards this quote specifically here. It's just referring to these words to help us understand what he's trying to say. And I will also say that this form of x but y, but thanks to is also used to construct paradoxicality. So we can say that even if we didn't use dafka specifically in this case, it could still be a paradox because again, this is a form that is used to construct paradoxicality. So we have two ways to construct paradoxicality, which enhances the paradox of things. And commented, and sense. It may not be contradictory from the perspective of people don't actually die or become ill from sitting in the corridor or waiting 20 hours in the ER, but it's very unpleasant. In other words, additional investment in manpower may not significantly improve achievements, it could improve user experience. And we first of all see that Conte understands the paradox. He's using the word he says contradictory, so he understands the contradiction that the original poster is trying to construct. And so we have this evidence of him detecting this paradox, and then said people don't actually die or become ill, but again, is an mention of this kind of thought on people is taking OCD, DOP, or other people that think that if people don't die, this is a satisfactory criteria for saying that health system works. If people don't die, so that's the bottom line. So he's attacking, he's criticizing these thoughts, and the people who think this is satisfactory. And then comment to B, John's conversation. I would just say that in the previous example, we saw A and B exchanging between them the notes, and maybe I will go back to that. I specifically used the screenshots because I wanted to see that there's a through line between the comments. So we can say who's replying to this one of the affordances of X. We can see the relation between the commenters and who's replying to who and who's not replying to who. So in our second analysis, in second example, each reply is different. They're all commenting on the original post. So commenter B, commenter B said, let us say, thanks to low investment, we achieve results. Come on. Of course, this is an echoic mention. Again, you can see, I'm helping with the tone of my voice to let you know this is ironic. But again, he echoes this absurdity of his claims. He uses the thought that the person thought of the OP and his opinion on the report of the OCD and the state of the health system in Israel. And he gave us this lovely quote. And he signs off with command, which can also, we can also see that this is used to convey sharp criticism and argument, so criticism, and the irony doesn't stop. Commenter C says, oops, facts. Again, the commenter pretends to be surprised, oops, from the report's conclusion. He marks his agreement with the OP with the word facts. We can also say that the facts is referring to the other commenters that maybe here are the facts. Why do you keep arguing with him? Because these are the facts. So it's not really a paradox. It challenges the idea of the paradox itself. And we have commenter Dean that has the comments at the end. I will go through it because we don't have much time, but I will just say that again, he has some criticism, but the signs off, the first one is so much Alec is a slang in Hebrew, which, okay, so much for astonishment. Astonishment, as we saw in the beginning in the original post, that the OP is criticizing the astonishment of the wording of the OECD, and so commenter D echoes these words and echoes this capitalistic view on how health system should work and what is satisfactory and what is not. And uses the word Alec, which in Hebrew can be seen as an dialogic edge, meaning it implies reservation. So we can see that, again, irony and reservations together, people are explicitating their intentions for it to be very clear that we are criticizing, we are ironic, they don't want any mistakes. And then at the end, he has another comment and signs off with astonishment. This time without Alec, we saw in the previous, he already commented that in the previous comment, so we are now more aware of what his intentions are, so he can skip that explicitation this time, but he again echoes the astonishment. So what can we say after we saw that? So we have this interplay, as I said in the beginning, between the implicit and the explicit dialogism. So X is a platform, of course, affords and invites this explicit dialogicity. As we can see on the platform, people contact with one another. This is very straightforward, very explicit. And then we have the irony, as we said, when we have the echoic mention, people, we have the echo voice and the echoing voice. This is also an implicit dialogue. And the paradox can also be seen as an implicit dialogue between these two members, the expectation and its reality. So you can see here on the right bottom, the setup. We have at the bottom the paradox, which is implicit, verbal irony, which is also implicit, and on top of it, this is the commenter's discourse, which is explicit. So we have this related setup that is constructed by the use of dafka and ironic quotation marks. And with that way, these discursive features, he supports the interpreting of the ironic speaker's meaning. And in conclusion, the dialogical characteristics, the dialogical features of the paradox and irony explicitate and enhance one another and support the interpretation of indirect speakers' meaning, and the digital participatory platform X, in our case, allows to negotiate these meanings. And when we analyze these comments, we can take a look on how people use paradox in negotiating ironic meaning, and of course speaking about who is the ironist, who is the victim, and what is the loss. That's philosophy, of course, and thank you very much for your attention.
We do have time for the question and answer session, so if you'd like to.
Thank you, it was very interesting. And I was wondering whether, of course, you focused on the critical ironic comments for this. Were there any comments attacking the ironists and defending the original post, the initial post, also using irony? You know, because we have this, it is often the case that when irony starts appearing somewhere, there are two or three more sequences, you know, with irony, even if these opposing people.
Yeah, so people, in our examples, of course not, but people do use irony to attack the irony that was being used in the first place. Of course, this interplay and display, and people are exchanging the thoughts, of course.
And
First
we
of all,
have one very good example which we could discuss here, where the commenter says to the first speaker, "Do you know about my husband?" He was supposed to ask, "Do you know about the conditions he was so?"
how can you say that?
Which implies how can you even think of this
Exactly.
that you believe that justifying this material. Okay. So we have
Yeah, we use the very prominent ones.
In the next presentation.
Of course, yeah.
just, of course, Avishay is writing a PhD on this, and this is his work.
Please, just my short question. Thank you. If you want to have an equivalent for DAFCA in
Yeah.
English, for example, what that equivalent would be?
Yeah, so that's the problem. That is why we didn't translate Dafka, because it's such a specific for e-group, and each time I'm in my other hat, I'm a translator from Hebrew to English. So I come across the word Dafka and I have to translate each time according to its context, because sometimes it can mean actually, or as you said, of all people, of all sometimes, but it can be actually in reality against this notion. Yeah, we have this kind of expectation, but there isn't really a word for Dafka that would convey all of these meanings.
Mostly there is an equivalent which conveys the paradox. This is the paradox.
Yeah.
Like in translation theory, we talk about conceptual voids. This is a conceptual voice.
Okay, so again, this is mostly used to express the counter expectation. For example, when talking about one of the meanings is a scalar focus forward, meaning that if we are, for example, say we tested 7 phones, and Dafka, the cheapest one, was the best one. So we expect that the cheapest one would be the bad one, not the best. So it was in the bottom of the scale of if we disavow the possibilities, but Dafka, the lowest possibility won. So we have these counter expectations, but it's really the bottom of the expectations, like list of the list.
Completely unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. The list, the last thing that we expected happened. So again, this is its most defining use. Of course, we can use this. We say in Hebrew, "lasot Dafka," which is to do something on purpose to annoy someone. So this is another use that we didn't discuss here because it's not relevant to this focus. But we have, this is a very, if you go to Israel, people say Dafka all the time. It's a very useful word.
Against the rules or something.
Yeah.
Do something against the rules.
Yeah, for purpose, yeah.
Lasot Dafka would be used spite.
Yeah, to spite someone.